Was last seen at her boyfriend's house in the 700th block of Cambridge Street in Kansas City, Missouri on May the 23rd, 1985. She had an argument with her boyfriend and other friends on the day of her disappearance. She apparently wanted to accompany them to their destination, but they refused. Jody walked to a friend's residence near East 14th Street and Winchester Avenue, and at approximately 10 p.m. she called her mother, Karen Stratton, and asked for a ride home to the 6800th block of East Topping Street. Stratton didn't have a car and told Jody that she had her friends that could give her a ride. When she left her friend's house, her friend assumed she was going back to her boyfriend's. She was last seen walking northbound on Winchester from 14th Street. She was never heard from again. She did not take any money or extra clothing with her when she disappeared. Jody was enrolled in a juvenile probation program at the time she disappeared. She and a friend of hers had run in with a security guard in 1984, and Jody had been in trouble for truancy as well. After her disappearance, Stratton contacted her caseworker, and the caseworker filed 2 warrants listing Jody as an endangered juvenile who should be detained by authorities if she was spotted. Stratton assumed that the warrants also meant juvenile authorities had filed a missing child report with law enforcement. However, they had not. Law enforcement never considered Jody as a missing person until 1987, 2 years following her disappearance, because they had not been notified. As a result, Jody's case was obviously extremely delayed, and clues were minimal by the time of the investigation began. Jody's probation officer got a letter about 4 years after Jody was last seen. The writer claimed to be Jody and said she was doing well, and one day she might say why she decided to leave. Stratton compared the handwriting with a previous letter Jody had written her probationer officer, but it wasn't sure whether or not it was the same writing. In 1993, Stratton got a series of threatening phone calls at her home that lasted 2 years. The caller demanded money in exchange for Jody's safe return, and at one point threatened to send Jody's body to her in pieces. Stratton started recording the calls and sent them to the police, who traced them to a Kansas City phone booth, but the callers were never identified, and in 1997 police dragged the Missouri River, but nothing was located. Stratton now lives in Arkansas but visits Kansas City a few times a year to search for her daughter. She stated Jody's home life in 1985 was dysfunctional and Stratton didn't get along with her father, and she thinks that it's possible her daughter deliberately chose to leave. Police said they are still searching for Jody Ledkins, who went missing decades ago. Jody Lee Ledkins, a white female, was born on September the 20th, 1970, with blondish brown hair and blue eyes. She is 5 feet 1 inches tall and weighed approximately 90 pounds when she went missing at 14 years of age. Jody has a small mole under her chin and a large birthmark under one of her arms. She had an appendectomy scar on her abdomen, and her teeth were in excellent condition, and she wore large round eyeglasses. If you have any information on this case, contact the Kansas City Police Department at 816-234-5140 or your local Crime Stoppers. If you have any information on this case and would like to contact the Q Center for Missing Persons, they can be reached at 910-343-1131 or call the Q Center's 24-hour tip line at 910-232-1687, and all information submitted to the Q Center for Missing Persons is confidential.